History has taught us one thing, if it's taught us anything. Tyrannies do not arise overnight. Hitler didn't come to power overnight. Tyrannies do not come to power overnight. They are the result of a progressive decline and a progressive rise of a tyranny. There are many stages leading up to a full dictatorship. The power grab we are seeing today by the Democrat Socialist Party USA under Barack Obama is right out of the history books. And I'm going to tell you right now that these left-wing fanatics in Hollywood, this Hershkovitz, whatever his name is, Marshall Hershkovitz, is going to replace Hitler's Union SA thugs with Tea Party members. He's going to say that the National Socialist German Workers' Party, the Nazi Party, was a right-wing extremist party. That is what's going to happen, as sure as I'm sitting here. And take it from a man who wrote Trickle-Down Tyranny, who studied this in great detail. I know exactly what evil is, and I know exactly what evil is going to bring us in this country. So let's take some callers on the Savage Nation. Steve in Massachusetts, thanks for calling. You're on the Savage Nation. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you, Dr. Michael Savage, for taking my call, and thank you for being a beacon of liberty in these difficult times. The reason this is happening is because the enemy of history is our indulgence in indifference. Nobody gives a good crap.
So that is that is one of the greatest enemies of freedom. I understand that. People look the other way. For example, sports, entertainment, pornography explains it. And that's why the sewer pipe of Hollywood continues to create this backflow. They want to overwhelm the mind with pornography, sports, and entertainment around the clock so people don't even see what freedom they're losing is basically what you're saying. Isn't that true?
That is absolutely correct, and what I cannot understand for the life of me is the attitude of the American Jew. With the election of Obama, there is no longer a safe place in America for American Jews. Why have they voted for the radical left? Why are they so stupid or dumb or have so many complexes? Can you answer that?
Well, that's a complicated question. I've answered in my own way many times. It's because, unfortunately, there are many people in the Jewish tradition or Jewish religion, because there's a big difference between genetic inheritance and religious practice, who identify with the left because their grandfather did or their father did. And they identify with the oppressed minorities of our time, even though they are generally not the oppressed minority of this time. That explains it in part. I can't explain the individual psychosis of liberalism for every person who votes against their own self-interest. I cannot. I know that Israel, for example, was a bellwether of this administration. They are the most anti-Israel administration in the last 70 years. They stabbed Israel in the back. They spit in Netanyahu's face, and they still got 92% of the Jewish vote. That tells you two things. Jews don't care about Israel as much as you think they may, and it tells you other things which I'm sure you can interpret yourself. But, how do you explain that white Christian police and firemen voted for Obama? Can you explain that?
I can. For the very simple reason, when you have skin in the game, you do what you're told or where your own interest lies, not where the interest of the country lies, because we can't see that far as people that are under the daily pressures put upon us by a democratic regime.
Listen to what I'm saying. You have Caucasian or white policemen. Obama attacked police regularly during his 4 years. He showed which side he was on regularly. Remember the incident back in Massachusetts with the so-called professor at Harvard, and he had to sit down with the cop and the so-called professor at Harvard, and he took the side of the so-called professor at Harvard over the cop. Now, that was the beginning of Obama's signaling who he really was. We know by his orientation that he despises police. He despises the military. We understand this. And why then would the police vote for Obama? Well, the answer is because they feared that if Romney came to power, there'd be a conservative fiscal policy that might impact their pensions in some way. Isn't that basically the reason?
Absolutely. They haven't understood yet that when the hour strikes, they're going to lose their pensions, like the union thugs are going to lose their union pensions, and the rest of us are going to lose the 401ks if you have one.
Let me ask you, are you of European origin, Steve?
Yes, sir.
Are you from Holland?
I would like to add to that.
Steve, wait. Steve, you got to listen to me. Stop. My board operator's not there right now. Apparently he's out for popcorn. Steve, let me say again, are you from Holland by any chance?
Yes, sir.
See, you see what a good ear I have for radio?
Absolutely.
How do I know accents better than anybody in the history of radio? I have the most acute ear for callers and for accents, which is so important that I be able to hear you. Because knowing that you're from Holland tells me a few things about your background, not many things, but a few things. Did you by any chance, I don't know how old you are, did you live through World War II in Holland?
I want to tell you what happened in a nutshell. My father walked from Auschwitz back to Dachau thanks to your German Nazi comrades. So he was a prisoner in a number of concentration camps, and I lost practically all the family from my father's side. So when you talk about the Weimar Republic and Nazi Germany and the rewriting of history, that strikes a bell. I mean, that hits home right between the eyeballs.
Are you of Jewish descent, Steve?
Yes, sir, but I'm not a practicing Jew. I was raised as a Christian because of that particular period in time.
Interesting. There's a very big story. You have a whole book to write about this.
No, I'm busy writing a book.
But wait, but Steve, are you saying to me that you fear this radical left-wing socialist administration is leading us down the same dark road? Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. You're absolutely.
But isn't he a good? But isn't he a good man? Isn't Barack Obama a good man who would never do evil?
Barack Obama, in my opinion, is the worst thing that ever happened in 200-year history of the United States, and he's going about it in a very clever way that most people cannot see and refuse to believe, because we rather be safe and comfortable than fight for what's right, for the Constitution, for the law of this country. That's why Massachusetts, as a one-party state, is really, you can call it a communist state. I'd rather would call it a neo-fascist state, and that is only the beginning. You live in California, that's going the same way.
Yes, they're celebrating the fact that for the first time since 1872, there is now a supermajority in California where the communists, known as the Democrats, can do anything they want without opposition, and they're celebrating this. What's amazing to me is that liberals are celebrating a one-party system. It's similar to the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt in the sense of absolute power. It's similar to that, Steve.